Well, good morning. It's August 25th, 2022, and it's a beautiful day outside, albeit a little warm. Um, I wrote this the other day after a trip home and getting stuck in a loop of consideration of a conversation that came up while we were visiting our daughter and son-in-law, and something he said that I couldn't really turn loose, and it was bothersome because it was addressing the problems that we all see so clearly in the world in which we live right now, especially right here in the United States, with the tremendous division of thought that we face as a nation. And it's difficult because it's hard not to consider these things in terms of the world in which our grandchildren will grow up, and the oldest of which is 8. And I kept thinking about this on the way home, which is about a 40-minute drive. And when you're stuck in traffic in LA, there's not a lot you can do other than think about all kinds of strange things. And what I thought about with 3 sayings, I'm not sure whether these are officially homilies or not, because homilies are generally reserved for religious thought, but they hold the same place, at least in my mind, in that they try to teach us something, in a very simple phrase or two. And what I was thinking about is the Shakespeare phrase that there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And a phrase that's attributed to Margaret Atwood, which is, what you don't know won't hurt you. By the way, I've never found that to be true. It's what I don't know is usually pretty well wrecked me from time to time, but I understand where that's coming from. And I think it has a lot to do with the problems that we face in our current reality, in the current situation we find ourselves in, along with another phrase, which is, you never know what someone else is going through until you walk a mile in their shoes, or walk a mile in their moccasins, as it were. And those are things that it's difficult to do. Not necessarily because they're inherently difficult, because generally speaking, it's something that we don't choose to do, to really look for and find that level of empathy, so as to understand why someone else might believe what they believe with such fervent zeal. And it's hard because, when you talk about only thinking makes it so, one of the problems that you come up with is whether or not these beliefs, are based on objective reality, or whether they're really subjective and based upon the reality that you choose. And one of the things that's really wrong with our culture today is that it's very easy to get lost in your own silo of knowledge. It's very easy to get lost in this vertical trap of listening to only that which you believe in at the moment, only those things that make you comfortable, that don't challenge you to look at life through someone else's lenses, through somebody else's eyes. And I think that's the dangerous part, because it's too easy to dismiss them, too easy to think of them as being evil or ignorant. And it's much, much harder to try and understand how or why they feel the way they do, and how that's coloring their actions and their rhetoric. I've never really found it all that easy to be that certain, to be that sure that I was right where everybody else was wrong. So I've always tried to find the truth in what everybody was saying, and then reach some kind of an objective compromise, consensus, that would allow us all to, everybody involved to move forward in a positive direction. But it doesn't seem to be so easy to do anymore. And that's difficult. It's difficult to see. It's difficult to watch. It's difficult to appreciate on so many different levels. I think that we all owe it to ourselves and each other to look at things differently, to try and walk a mile in somebody else's shoes, to try and understand what realities they're facing and how that's objectively coloring their actions, and making them so adamant about their beliefs. And I think that Shakespeare had it right when he said that only thinking makes it so. Only thinking makes it good or bad. And that Atwood really was onto something when she said, what you don't know won't hurt you. Actually, the truth of the matter is what you don't know can hurt you very much. Especially when it comes to making decisions about what somebody else thinks or what their value is, what their worth is as a human being. Really, I think that this particular blog post really might be 3 blog posts that I jumbled all together and really deserve more time each on their own, just to establish their own merit. Because I think that we don't think about them enough. And perhaps we're going to have to before we reach, a cutting point where it's too late. And that would be tragic. It would be tragic for all of us. So before you rest your case on the laurels of your certainty that you are correct, that your thinking does make it so, try to be a little bit more objective. Try and recognize that what you don't know can hurt you, and try to be empathetic. Try and see the world through someone else's lenses, or maybe walk a mile in their shoes. And then if you've done all your due diligence, if you've really tried hard and there's still no resolution, at least you'll know you did everything that you could. Clean thoughts on a dirty wall, as Dick Whittington, morning radio talk show host of many, many years ago, used to say. Something to keep you thinking about, hopefully something to make you go, and take it from there. In the meantime, stay well and take care. It's always a joy having this opportunity to share my thoughts and opinions with you, and hope you'll do the same. Reach out. You know where to find me. Meantime, love you. Bye.